Hey, what's up everybody? It's Matt Johnson. Just a couple quick thoughts on skill building, and based on this book, again right here, I'm diving into Managing the Professional Service Firm by David Maister. In fact, I was talking with a guy yesterday, I might do an entire podcast series where we really tear apart this book because it's that freaking good. So there's a couple of quotes that jumped out at me that I wanted to share and inspired a couple of thoughts that might be semi-helpful. So the first one is he took really an inventory of his career at one point and came away kind of surprised and discouraged because he points out that when you're selling something, professionals get paid for your time, but that's not really what we sell. We're actually selling our knowledge and our skill. And unfortunately, he says, left untended, knowledge and skill, like all assets, depreciate in value surprisingly quickly, which is kind of it can be bad news because the world is always changing and there's a lot to keep up with. So the goal when you're selling a professional service, theoretically, is you invest to build up this skill and knowledge, and then you go out into the marketplace and you apply that skill and knowledge in a way that requires as little mental effort and as little customization as possible. That's how you become more profitable working with clients, as you start to squeeze out as much mental effort and customization as possible to where you're doing as much of the same thing and applying the same skills as efficiently as you possibly can. So that's where you get more profit. The problem is that the skills and knowledge that you have depreciates in value, so it gets less valuable to the market the longer that you have them. So that creates the problem where you have to go and build your skills. So I equate a lot of things to being a musician. It reminded me of the example of, there's a guy named Dave Weckl. He is one of the most famous drummers in the world, top 25 of all time. He's played with everybody from Paul Simon to Chick Corea and everybody in the world. So at one point, when he was in his early 20s, he was in music school, and he would actually practice 7 hours a day during the school year. Then he would practice during the summer. He would practice 10 to 14 hours during the days when he didn't have any classes. And he spent basically 4 years, and this is on top of his teenage years of practicing hours and hours a day. So he spent this time in building up this incredible inventory of skills and knowledge and facility and technical expertise on the drum kit. And then you go out and he starts to tour. And the problem is that over time, touring does not really test your technical ability. For the most part, you're playing things that you already know how to play, because by definition you're playing live and you have to play with other musicians, and you cannot stretch out in such a way that you're practicing on stage. You have to be able to hit your marks, you have to be able to play within the song and so forth. So in order to be a sustained, successful professional musician, you have to pull back from touring, you have to pull back from recording, and you have to find the time to build new skills, to stretch yourself, to practice, and really lock yourself away, whether it's a couple hours a day, or whether you do it in a big chunk of time where you retreat for a month or two and really dive into the technical part of it. But we as professionals or consultants or service providers or whatever, we have to do the same thing. The challenge is, what if you don't love what you do? That becomes a challenge to go back and learn more about what it takes to be successful at what you do, because if you don't love what you do, then every minute of that investment you have to make in skill building is laborious and time-consuming and miserable. So it really all comes down to the fact that when you look at musicians, for example, in the way that they build their skills, it's not, oftentimes one of the greatest feelings in life is to be able to pull back from touring, pull back from recording, and go into the woodshed, go into the practice room, and just work on what you want to work on, building your skills, exploring new things, exploring new territories on your instrument. And if you're a service provider, if you're a consultant, if you're in an industry that you love, it's the same way for you. You want to learn more about what's going on. You want to know about the latest, greatest things that are coming out. You want to build your skills because you love the game, and you love the industry, and you love what you do. So if you have any shot at having sustained success, you really have to love what you do. You have to be like a musician or an artist that practices their craft. Because without that love for what you do, it's very, very difficult to keep on building your skills, and your skills depreciate in value so quickly that it's very hard to profit from them and be successful over the long run without loving what you do and continually building new skills. So hopefully that helps. Obviously, if you're not in an area or in an industry where you love what you do, you better find what that is. I've found a couple of things. Music is obviously one of them for me, but marketing is also one thing I noticed that I just gravitate towards. I read books on it for fun, and that's a great example. What types of content do you consume where you're just left to your own devices? What do you read about? What do you watch on TV? What do you listen to on the radio or on podcasts? to give you a clue of what, some of the things that you love to do, and that's a whole other conversation. But if you really want to sustain success, that's the lesson. You have to keep on building your skills. You can never let them deteriorate, and in order to keep on building skills, in order to put in that time and that effort, that intensity, that focus, you have to love what you do. So hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Hit me up on Facebook here under the comments, or shoot me an email at matt@pursuingresults.com. Later, guys, and we'll see. For all of you who watch Real Estate Uncensored, we've got a big guest, Todd Miller, former #1 KW worldwide guy out of Vegas. He's going to be on the show at 3 o'clock Pacific today, so don't forget to watch.